Honestly, I'm not really sure why I'm doing this video, other than the fact that it occurred to me several times during prayer, and that's not the kind of prompting that I regularly like to ignore. If I had to guess, I would say that it's some added context to the fact that when I started this channel, it was largely a passion project and not something that I expected a lot of people to follow along for. And since then, it's grown quite a bit, much to my surprise. So I guess it is in a way me encouraging people to take what I have to say with a grain of salt based on the number of reasons that I hope to articulate in this video. I also want to apologize from the outset because while I'm trying to criticize myself, inevitably there are people with the same traits as me. And so I'm sorry if this offends you. I think a better reaction than merely getting offended would be to consider what I have to say and use it as an opportunity for self-evaluation to see if you can grow in meaningful ways from it. And if you don't think that there are valid points, then you can just dismiss me as wrong, but don't get offended. Getting offended has never accomplished anything good in the whole history of human interaction. So with that said, let's jump into the reasons. Number one is I'm uneducated and unqualified. The fact is I've never formally studied topics like philosophy or theology or politics, which feature heavily in my video commentaries. And while I do try to stay within my weight class and keep these reflections on more of a sort of a personal level, I do tend to veer outside of my lane because I am an ambitious person. And it's in those instances that I will rely on people who are educated and qualified to offer corrections wherever necessary. I've often consoled myself in the past that the apostles were also uneducated, and not by accident. Jesus could have picked scholars to be his apostles, but he specifically and apparently deliberately did not do that. And if you're interested in my thoughts on that topic in a little more detail, I have another video that I'll try to link somewhere about why God seems to prefer to choose losers from among his people to be prophetic voices. And that still stands, but at the same time, the apostles didn't have centuries of doctrinal clarification to curate and be responsible for. And if you do have to be responsible for that, then you should probably be well versed and well educated in it. Number two is because I'm a convert. And this is one of those things that usually draws a lot of admiration and affinity from other Catholics. And that's nice, but it should also be a source of caution because it's a strange thing to actually jump ship and convert, especially when we live in a society where there are so many ideological lines drawn all around us. I've often been asked why it is that I think that other people don't convert, especially if they are aware of the many problems that nag them wherever it is that they are. And if I'm really honest about that question, I think it has to do mostly with social pressures. I know many Protestants who are deeply invested in their communities and their faith tradition, and to convert would mean rupturing their relationships with friends and family. And for those who are leaders, it could mean walking away from a good career. And those are profound reasons to stay put. So the kind of person that could abandon those incentives would have to be something of a contrarian. And I think that helps explain what helped me to chart my own course, which has so far arrived at Catholicism. That contrarian attitude is also a restless one. It's the kind that cares far less about what other people think than perhaps it does for others. And that can be a good thing if it removes impediments that are in place that prevent you from moving in the direction that God might want you to move. But it's also the kind of thing that can create an indifference to the demands of, say, compassion or charity. I know a lot of modern thinking people like to act as though not caring about what other people think is some kind of a virtue, but it really isn't necessarily. We live in community. We are social creatures, and as such, we are called to be peacemakers and collaborators, and contrarians tend to have a tough time with that. Like for me, for example, I have never done well in an employment situation in which somebody is in charge of me. I've never gotten along well with my superiors, and that's usually been my fault. The other thing about converts is that we tend to be overly enthusiastic about whatever it is that we're converting into because it's new and it's exciting and we're really passionate about it. And so when I joined the church, I had a lot of naive optimism because I didn't have many experiences that could shape an accurate perception for me. And when those naive preconceptions confront realities that contradict it, it can be really disruptive for converts and can easily turn into cynicism or reactionism. So I think it's important that we give converts time to get settled and adjusted and to gain some experiences so that those naive preconceptions can get dispelled before we nominate them for roles of leadership and influence. So number 3 is because I'm young. Now, age is obviously a relative concept, but if wisdom prevailed, the only kinds of commentaries like this that we'd really be watching are ones that are shaped by a great depth of wisdom and experience. And I may have some of that, but I also have a lot to learn. And what reinforces that knowledge for me is that about every 5 years, I can look back at where I was 5 years ago and the things I was doing and the things that I thought and believed and say, boy, you've got a lot to learn. And I'm sure that in 5 years from now, I'll be able to look back at present day me and do the exact same thing, which is why I feel it's really, really important for present day me to exercise as much humility as I can when I try to present these ideas. St. Thomas à Kempis, who is St. Thomas, right? He's not. No, it doesn't say. Anyways, in his book, The Imitation of Christ, he says that we should discuss our affairs with those who are wise and who fear God, and that by contrast, we shouldn't keep company with those young people. And what I think he means is that we should seek the counsel of wise and experienced people, and that while young people are eager to be heard, they usually lack wisdom. So we shouldn't be putting much stock or authority in what young people who lack experience and wisdom have to say. Last but not least is number 4, which is that I'm a ginger. And I don't think I need to go into a lot of detail about this. The problems associated with this condition are well documented, so I mean, what can I say? I'm sorry. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed that, then please consider subscribing and liking, and come find me on Facebook and Twitter. It's a huge help when you do that. It helps us get these videos in front of more and more people. And a big thank you goes out to You Catholic for presenting these videos. And if you want to support the making of these videos, then please consider supporting my work as a digital media and marketing expert. My company, Holdsworth Design, specializes in branding, web and graphic design, marketing, social media, videography, and all that kind of good stuff. So if you know of a parish, a diocese, a ministry, or a business that needs help in those areas, then please send them our way and I'm sure we can help them out.